Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. So folks, if there's one thing that we are very, very accustomed to at this point, there's one thing that we are used to, if there's one thing we have seen more than our fair share of over the last couple of years, it is how certain NFL analysts, certain NFL opinions by, the supposed, color commentators, whatever have you, they will come out and more often than not, they will not give the Lions their due credit. And we have seen this manifest itself in a number of ways. We've seen it manifest in terms of certain individuals, whether it's head coach Dan Campbell, whether it's, Brad Holmes, as far as where they rank in relation to other GMs and head coaches. We've seen it in terms of different unit rankings as far as how our offense is compared to others, how our defense is viewed compared to others. And, we've just seen it as an overall team effect where sometimes our team is not given the proper respect or, the proper due in comparison to others as far as what we've accomplished, where our power rankings are, if we're still considered Super Bowl contenders. I mean, we've seen it for quite a bit of different things. But I'm going to tell you this right now. It never ceases to amaze me. And I mean this quite literally, it never ceases to amaze me that when it comes to one particular player, the absolutely just heinous insults and disrespect that is put on this individual is just absolutely unprecedented. When we're talking about this NFL analyst, this is an NFL analyst that Lions fans are particularly well acquainted with. NFL analyst I'm referring to is none other than ESPN Dan Orlovsky. Why are we so familiar with him? Well, it could just be the fact that he was a backup quarterback for us for a number of years on 2 separate different stints. But the funny thing about it is that ever since Dan Orlovsky has become an analyst for ESPN, it is very interesting to see him try and talk about the Detroit Lions. When Matthew Stafford was here, couldn't talk about Stafford and the Lions enough whenever it came up about how, Stafford this, Stafford that, as long as they've got him, blah, 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 blah. But the funny thing about it is ever since Stafford left, Orlovsky's tone, Orlovsky's view, Orlovsky's, whole thought process around us has completely shifted. And it has to do with also the viewpoint that he has of quarterback Jared Goff. Because let's understand something here. I don't view him this way, but there's a lot of people that do. Misguided, incorrectly I would say, but c'est la vie. Orlovsky is considered one of the top NFL analysts at ESPN because, he was an NFL player, played in the NFL for a number of years, didn't do anything of any substance or circumstance except run out the back of the end zone against the Minnesota Vikings. That is what he is forever going to be known for as a player. But Orlovsky has made it, a tradition of his, much like, other analysts, they will release a list of what they consider their top NFL quarterbacks. Now, unlike other analysts, what Orlovsky does is he will break down his quarterback list based upon categories. And his 6 categories that he uses to define what he thinks his top quarterbacks are these 6. Arm strength, ball placement, mechanics, decision-making, pocket presence, and rushing ability. I'm just going to ask you this right now and put it out there for you. You guys want to take a wild freaking guess how many categories Goff actually made in Dan Orlovsky's list? 1. Goff literally only makes one list, and that's mechanics. And even in that list, Goff is ranked near the dead last bottom in that. He's ranked number 9. Otherwise, Goff is nowhere on the list. You can't find him anywhere. Not for arm strength, ball placement, mechanics, decision-making, pocket presence, none of it. Now, here's what I'm going to say. I can understand, to a certain degree, why Goff is absent from the arm strength category. I can definitely understand why he's not there in the rushing ability. Because while Goff has a strong arm, Goff can throw the deep ball, Goff can do a lot of those things, and he can do them very, very well. Arm strength is more than just how far you can throw the ball down the field. Let's just get that out of the way. Arm strength is also the ability to zip a ball into a very tight window where, most quarterbacks would not even dare. Now again, Goff can do that. Goff has shown that. Goff has the ability to put that ball into some pretty tight windows where, most quarterbacks would not try to do so. But I can understand to at least a certain degree why, Goff is not on that list, because Goff is not known as a gunslinger. Goff is not known as a guy that is going to try and force a pass. He is very protective with the football. He's very smart with it. So it's one of those things where it's kind of like, okay, because of the nature of the offense that he plays, the nature of quarterback that he plays, that's going to be one of those where it's kind of a little bit ticky-tacky. However, though, while I can understand it, the one thing about this that I don't understand is how Michael Penix Jr. gets on this list, and I think he's ranked number 10th on this list, when Michael Penix Jr. literally only played a handful of games last year. So it's like, really, Orlovsky, you're going to try and tell me that a guy that literally only suited up for 6 or something games, that somehow you're going to put him on a list over Jared Goff? Come on, dude, give me a freaking break. How absolutely pathetic is that? Now, like I said, when it comes to the rushing ability component, I'm not even going to try and argue that one. Can Goff scramble? Yes, he can scramble. Can Goff run? Yes, he can run. Does Goff have some mobility? Yes, he does. But let's call for what it is. Goff is not a Lamar Jackson. Goff is not a Justin Fields. There's no debate on that one. I'm not going to try and argue that one because, again, what is Goff known for? He's a pocket passer. He's a pocket passer that has the ability to move when it is called for. But he is not going to try and burn you with his legs. Which then brings us to the other 4 categories. Ball placement, mechanics, decision-making, pocket presence. Now, the fact that Goff gets on a list at mechanics, that's good. But the fact that he's only ranked number 9, I think is an absolute joke. We've heard, I don't know how many different coaches, we've heard, I don't know how many other different people say Goff has one of the prettiest throws in the NFL. Goff's mechanics are some of the most sound in the NFL. Literally, when it comes to Goff, he is like wash, rinse, repeat. When it comes to how he throws the ball, his footwork, his arm angles, it is always the same. It is like picturesque perfect almost every single time. He is quite literally, about as solid and, consistent when it comes to his mechanics as almost any quarterback in the NFL. And the fact that, Orlovsky only puts him at number 9, considering the fact of how, so many people will say that Goff's mechanics are just absolutely, impeccable. Again, I view this as, Orlovsky realized that he had to put Goff on the list, but rather than actually giving him the credit that's due, he decided to literally put him at the second to last spot on the list, just to say, well, he's on the list, but I'm not going to give him anything more than that. And again, I don't know why Orlovsky has an issue with Goff. I don't know where the issue comes from, but I almost feel like this is gate guarding for Stafford in a way, because Stafford is on a number of lists. Absolutely on a number of them. I can't remember how many, but it's at least 3 or 4. But then, let's come down to the 3 lists where it is just an absolute, it's a joke. I can't understand how a guy who used to play the NFL position of quarterback can seriously put out this junk, put out this trash on the internet, and somehow be able to sit there and try and justify that, yeah, you know what, this is my honest opinion, and that, this is based on professional opinion only. Really? Let's take a look at ball placement here. Ball placement is just a much more fancier word for advanced accuracy. It is your ability to put the ball in a specific window, a specific spot where only your guy can get it. Because, we can talk about accuracy like, hey, is the ball catchable? Is the ball here? Is the ball there? Is it, available for your receiver to go and get it? That's considered an accurate pass. But ball placement is like, hey, you know what? Are you able to thread that needle into such a small space to where only you can put it and where only your receiver can get it? Are you able to do something like that? So that's why I say it's an advanced form of accuracy rating. It's an advanced form of understanding accuracy. I'm going to tell you this right now. We're going to take a look at the stats, and then we're going to take a look at some highlight clips that show just how damn absolutely laser precise Goff is when it comes to this. First, let's take a look at the stats. If you take a look at Jared Goff's advanced 2024 passing statistics from last year, which again, I had to combine this from a couple of different sites. I combined it from, Pro Football Reference. I got some from, Next Gen Stats, got some from some other places. But here's what I can tell you. Take a look at this. When it comes to Jared Goff last year, he was tied 7th in terms of least bad throws, ranked 6th in terms of, bad throw percentage, in terms of the least amount, ranked 3rd in on-target percentage. His completion percentage, we already know, was ranked 2nd most in the league. But here's what's funny. According to Next Gen Stats, his expected completion percentage was ranked 7th, literally 4.3% lower than what he actually is supposed to be at. Think about that. Or actually 4.4%. His expected completion percentage was at 68 compared to where his actual completion percentage is at 72.4. So his plus or minus completion percentage, according to Next Gen Stats, was plus 4.3%, which was 3rd best. You know what all that tells me? It tells me that when Goff was throwing passes, according to Next Gen Stats, the completion probability for the majority of those throws was only at 68%. But yet Goff was able to get it into a position to where it was 4.3%, 4.4% higher than what was probably expected. But yet somehow, according to Dan Orlovsky, his ball placement's not that good because it's not even in the top 10. And then when you actually take a look at some other statistics that I had up on the screen there, EPA, you know what EPA stands for? It stands for expected points added. Jared Goff's total EPA in 2024 was 3rd best out of all quarterbacks. And then when you take a look at his pass EPA, it was ranked 2nd best, only behind Lamar Jackson, if I recall correctly. Oh, and then the yak yardage, how everyone calls Jared Goff a yak king. Well, how do you suppose that happens? It happens because you have to put the ball in a place to where your wide receiver can catch and run with it. Oh my gosh, that sounds like ball placement. Where did Jared Goff rank in yak last year? Number 1. So, according to the advanced statistics, according to the completion probability percentage from Next Gen Stats, according to EPA standards, Jared Goff is literally in the top 5 of all those categories practically. So, think about this. According to the advanced data, Jared Goff should absolutely be on this list for ball placement. No doubt about it. But like I said, according to Dan Orlovsky, he's not even on the list. But yet the statistics prove that Dan Orlovsky is a liar. And at the same time, he's a freaking moron. But what makes it even worse is take a look at some of these highlight clips from last year. You take a look at some of these highlight clips, and I'm not going to try and go over all of them, but, just watching them, you see the precision that Goff is operating. Take a look at where these throws are being put. They're being put right in the damn bucket. wide receivers not having to stop, the wide receivers not having to slow down. It literally is putting itself right exactly where it needs to be. And in some cases where the receiving coverage is so tight, where the coverage on the receiver is so literally tight, Goff puts the ball exactly and only where his receiver can get it. Doesn't matter if it's Amon-Ra St. Brown, doesn't matter if it's J-Mo, doesn't matter who it is. And yet, according to the statistics, according to the highlight tapes, which are, physical evidence, somehow, some way, Dan Orlovsky does not have Jared Goff on his list for ball placement. Dude, the fact that it's not there, the fact that Goff's name doesn't even appear on this, again, it shows just absolutely how much of a freaking joke Dan Orlovsky is. And as we go further into this, it's only going to get worse. Because let's take a look at the next category that Jared Goff does not even make an appearance for. Decision making. How in the hell Jared Goff is not in the decision making list is even worse when it comes to the statistics, because I'm telling you this right now, if you just take a look at the raw statistics, the raw data, the fact that Dan Orlovsky does not put Goff in this category is just damn idiotic. Again, let's just take a look at the basic statistics from last year. Last year, Goff was second in completion percentage, second in passing yards, second in pass average per throw, fourth in passing touchdowns, third in passing touchdown percentage, second in passer rating, and sixth in QBR. Oh, and here's a fun little stat to add on top of that. Since 2022, Jared Goff's 96 passing touchdowns is the most in that time frame. So I'm going to just draw this out in crayon for Orlovsky, since apparently he has the intellectual range of a teaspoon here. You do not rank second in passing yards, pass completion percentage, and passer rating if you are not an elite decision maker. There's no way in hell you're going to rank that high if you are not an elite decision maker. There's no way. If you are literally ranked second in 4 out of literally 7 categories, and you are ranked top 5 in 6 out of 7 categories from last year, that means you are an elite decision maker with the football. And like I just said, there is no way in hell you're going to rank number 1 in passing touchdowns since 2022 if you don't know how to make good decisions with the football. It's just, it's inexcusable. The statistics literally point to just how damn stupid Orlovsky is here. And then when you go even further into the statistics, again, decision making not only is about how often you can make the right decision, but also how fast can you do it. I've talked about this one quite a bit this offseason, but when it comes to Jared Goff's ability to make decisions, his processing speed is almost second to none. When you take a look at Jared Goff's statistics from last year, when you take a look at when he was throwing the ball in less than 2.5 seconds, he was 5th in the NFL in completion percentage in that time span, 9th in passing yards, 7th in pass average per throw, 3rd in passing touchdowns, 4th in passer rating. And even though his time to throw was tied 13th, it was 1.89 seconds was the average. Dude, most people can't make up their minds on where they're going to eat in less than 5 seconds, let alone being able to completely read a defense and throw a football in less than 2. But then when you take a look at how Jared Goff ranked in terms of throwing the ball in more than 2.5 seconds, number 1 in completion percentage, number 2 in passing yards, number 1 in pass average per throw, tied 4th in passing touchdowns, ranked 3rd in passer rating, ranked 3rd in time to throw at 3.28 seconds. So, again, as I just said, to draw it out in crayon for Orlovsky, since he has the intellectual range of a teaspoon here, you are also not going to be a top 5 passer rating, ability of a quarterback in terms of whether, are throwing the ball in less than 2.5 seconds or greater than 2.5 seconds if you are not an elite decision maker. Jared Goff was ranked 4th when throwing the ball in less than 2.5 seconds, was ranked 3rd when throwing the ball in greater than 2.5 seconds. In passer rating, you do not get that ranking if you are not an elite decision maker. Yet somehow Goff does not even crack Orlovsky's list. What an absolute ridiculous joke. What absolute trash by a guy who has built his entire livelihood as an analyst because he's known for one play, running out the back of the end zone. That's Orlovsky's legacy. One of the only quarterbacks that can say, oh yeah, I am forever going to be known as the guy who ran out the back of my own end zone. Let's just call that one for what it is. That's your legacy. Only kind of solidifies how much further idiotic his lists are. Because then that brings us to the last list, which is pocket presence. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. Pocket presence is, to me, it's one of those things that you can't really effectively measure with statistics. The only way you can really measure it is by watching film and watching games. But to me, when I take a look at the fact of who's on this list and who he has here, to me, it almost seems that Orlovsky is more concerned with style and flash rather than actual substance. Because again, everybody knows this about Goff. Goff is not the most flashy guy in the NFL. He is not a guy that is going to quote-unquote wow you. But if there is one thing that Jared Goff can wow you with, it's his consistency. It's his reliability. He just does the same good thing over and over and over. He kind of lulls you to sleep. That's how damn reliable he is. It is like, dude, I hate to say it because it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of like watching Peyton Manning used to play. Manning was not a flashy guy, but good Lord above, he could lull you to sleep with how damn consistent he was because he just did the same thing over and over again. Good decisions, made great throws, had great awareness in the pocket. That was what Peyton Manning was. Not flashy at all, but damn, he was so consistent he would lull you to sleep because that was what he did. But here's the thing. I'm going to show you some highlights here just to give you guys an understanding here. Pocket awareness and pocket presence, in my opinion, is where you can make good, quick decisions with the football while the pocket is breaking down around you. Hey, you know what? You're not getting flustered. You're not getting rattled. Hey, the pocket's breaking down. You've got to navigate the pocket, whether it's inside the pocket and find a way to get rid of the ball, or hey, you know what? You got to break the pocket and you got to find a way to make a play. You take a look at those two clips that I put up or I'm putting up right now. That's exactly what Goff has. When you take a look at the play against the Seattle Seahawks, Goff literally gets turned around in the pocket. So he has to take his eyes off downfield, and his back is now towards the defense. He spins right back around. Oh, and what happens? He throws the ball, gets rid of it, has a completion. Mind you, that's the game where Goff was a perfect 18 for 18. Try doing that one when you do a 360 and you got a defense that's literally trying to, break you in half, and you turn around and, oh yeah, you know what? I'm still going to get the throw off and I'm still going to get a completion. Then you take a look at the other one, which is against the Buffalo Bills game. Goff is getting pressured. He has to do a front door escape to the right side of the pocket into the formation, and again, having the understanding, having the awareness, the wherewithal to know, hey, you know what? I've got a guy that's open over here in the flat. I'm just going to dump it off to Tim Patrick, and what's Tim Patrick going to do? He's going to body stretch to get over to the freaking pylon and score a touchdown. Again, that's pocket presence. That's pocket awareness. The ability to maintain calm and composure in the pocket or running outside the pocket when the pressure's on and, things are starting to break down and you've got a shift in how, the defense is attacking you, the offensive line's not holding up. The ability to avoid pressure, the ability to maintain calm and cool and collected under everything going on. I'm going to tell you this right now. While Goff is not the most flashy at this, there are few better than Goff when it comes to it. He's not the flashiest guy, but he's one of the damn level best when it comes to it. Now, I could stop there. But what makes this list by Orlovsky that much more laughable and much more idiotic is that the exact same day, yesterday, when he dropped his list, The Athletic dropped their list based on quarterback tiers, as far as, what quarterbacks were ranked into what tiers. And I think they had tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, something like that. It might have gone a little bit down to tier 5, but whatever. You want to know where Jared Goff ranked in that? He was ranked in tier 2, ranked 8th best out of a panel of 50 NFL coaches, not necessarily head coaches, but coaches, coordinators, the whole 9 yards, and top NFL executives. So these are people that opinion and who know what they're talking about because they do this for an actual living. They're not just a color analyst. They actually work with these guys. They're actually considered the top executives, the top coaches, whatever. 50 coaches and NFL executives voted Jared Goff into tier 2. And on top of that, he finished 8th out of all quarterbacks. So think about that. Some of the best people in the business said pretty much to Orlovsky's opinion of him as far as, ball placement, decision making in terms of pocket presence. You don't know a damn thing what you're talking about, dude. You might want to find yourself a better or different day job because quite literally, on the same day that you put your list out there, the top NFL executives and coaches pretty much said, yeah, you don't know crap. You literally don't know jack crap about what you're talking about. It was probably the best rebuttal I could have ever had as far as at the same time, the same place, the same topic. Absolutely perfect. And then for me to just be able to put it all into one fell swoop episode, it's just like chef's kiss. Love it. But anyway, folks, I absolutely had to talk about this. So, having said that, if you've enjoyed the content, hopefully I will gain your subscription. But I'm going to end this episode and say thank you all for watching another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. Again, if you like the content, hope to see you subscribe. But if you subscribed in the past or you just subscribed and you've not yet had a chance to do so, please make sure you also hit that bell notification icon so you guys never miss any more content that I push out. I hope you all have something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.